Puss in Boots. Once upon a time, there was a poor miller who lived in a little village. He had 3 sons, and when the miller died, he left them everything he owned. To the oldest son, he left the mill. To the second son, he left a donkey. And to the youngest son, he left only a cat. The youngest son, whose name was Jack, was very sad. "What can I do with just a cat?" he said. "I can't work with the mill, and I can't carry anything like the donkey can. I will surely starve." The cat heard him and jumped onto the table. "Don't worry, master," the cat said. "I am not just any cat. I can help you. All I need is a pair of boots and a sack." Jack was surprised. He had never heard of a cat talking before. But he thought, if this cat can talk, maybe it really can help me. So, Jack used the last of his coins to buy the cat a fine pair of boots and a strong sack. The cat put on the boots and slung the sack over his shoulder. He looked very proud and said, "Just wait and see, master. I will make you rich." Then, the cat set off into the forest. In the forest, the clever cat made a plan. He filled the sack with carrots and laid it on the ground. Then, he hid behind a bush and waited. Soon, a curious rabbit came hopping by. It smelled the carrots and hopped into the sack to eat. Quick as a flash, the cat pulled the string tight and caught the rabbit. The cat took the rabbit to the king's castle. The castle was large and made of stone, with high towers that sparkled in the sun. The cat walked proudly up to the guards at the gate and said, "I have a gift for the king." The guards let him in, and the cat bowed low before the king. "Your Majesty," he said, "this is a gift from my master, the Marquis of Carabas." The cat had made up the name on the spot. The king was delighted with the rabbit. "Thank your master for me," he said. "This is a fine gift." The next day, Puss in Boots caught 2 fat partridges using the same trick. He brought them to the king and said, "Another gift from my master, the Marquis of Carabas." The king was very pleased. He began to think that the Marquis of Carabas must be a very generous and noble man. For weeks, the cat kept bringing gifts to the king. Rabbits, birds, and even a basket of fish. Each time, he said, "This is from my master, the Marquis of Carabas." One day, the cat heard that the king was going on a carriage ride with his daughter, the princess. The princess was beautiful, with golden hair and a kind smile. Puss in Boots ran home to Jack. "Master," the cat said, "your luck is about to change. Do exactly as I say. Take off your clothes and jump into the river when I tell you." "What? Jump into the river?" Jack asked, confused. "Trust me," said the cat. So, Jack did as the cat asked. When the king's carriage came near the river, the cat ran out onto the road, waving his arms. "Help! Help!" he cried. "My master, the Marquis of Carabas, is drowning." The king stopped the carriage. "Save him at once," he ordered. His servants pulled Jack out of the river and wrapped him in a warm blanket. "Oh, Your Majesty," said the cat, bowing deeply. "While my master was bathing in the river, thieves came and stole his clothes." The king felt sorry for Jack and ordered his servants to bring fine clothes for him. When Jack put on the clothes, he looked like a true nobleman. The king invited him to ride in the carriage. As they rode through the countryside, Puss in Boots ran ahead. He came to a field where farmers were working. "Listen," he said, "when the king comes by, you must tell him that this land belongs to the Marquis of Carabas. If you don't, you'll be in big trouble." The farmers were frightened and agreed. When the king's carriage passed, the farmers bowed and said, "This land belongs to the Marquis of Carabas." The king was very impressed. "You have fine lands, Marquis," he said to Jack. Jack just smiled and nodded, though he didn't understand what was happening. Puss kept running ahead, telling everyone to say the same thing. Soon, the king thought the Marquis of Carabas owned all the land in the countryside. Finally, Puss in Boots came to a grand castle. This castle belonged to a rich and powerful ogre. The ogre was very proud of his magic and wealth. Puss knocked on the door and said, "Good day, Mr. Ogre. I have heard you are the most powerful creature in the land. Is it true you can turn into anything?" "Of course, I can," said the ogre. To prove it, he turned into a giant lion. "Very impressive," said Puss, pretending to be scared. "But I bet you can't turn into something small, like a mouse." The ogre laughed. "That's easy," he said. He turned into a tiny mouse. Quick as a flash, Puss pounced and ate him up. Now the castle belonged to Puss and his master. When the king's carriage arrived, Puss greeted them at the door. "Welcome to the castle of the Marquis of Carabas," he said. The king was amazed by the grand castle. "You must marry my daughter and become part of the royal family," he said to Jack. Jack and the princess were married that very day. Jack became a prince, and Puss in Boots became a great lord. They all lived happily ever after, thanks to the clever cat and his fine pair of boots.